Welcome into House of Horns. My name is Victor Corona, aka Victor Producer, and joining me as always is Gilbert Manzano, who does it for Sports Illustrated MMQB. And Gilbert, we have a matchup between the Rams traveling to London to take on the Jacksonville Jaguars. I guess my question to you is, where are you at with this division? You have three teams that are 4-2, and you have a Cardinals team, way back in the rear there. Are you surprised with the start from what you've seen from the NFC West? And how do you see this going the rest of the way with what you've seen so far? A third of the way of the season that we've gotten so far.
Yeah, it's a good division. The NFC West is not a great division, but I can't really think of a great division right now. Like maybe the AFC West compares. Maybe these are the two closest or most competitive divisions. I'm trying to just think around the league.
The
It's not.
AFC South has kind of been surprising, I guess you can say.
Yeah, but I still like say you put the Texans, Colts, and the Jaguars compared to the 49ers, Rams, and Seahawks. I'd rather have those three teams in the NFC West. So, I think a lot of it was how the Seahawks smacked the Jaguars, and then also the Rams beat the Colts. It's like, and then I mentioned earlier this week where the NFC has dominated a lot of these AFC teams. So from that, if you just kind of separate the AFC and you kind of focus on the NFC West is better than the South. I do like the Falcons and the Buccaneers, but and the Panthers are up there now a little bit, but it's not the same thing. The NFC North, I just can't buy the Packers. The Vikings don't have a quarterback. The Bears are still up and down. And then the East, the Cowboys are down. The Giants are starting to come up. Commanders they're kind of this in between stage, and the Eagles are fading. So by default, I think the NFC West is the best division in football. I still need to see what the Chiefs and the Broncos do, and the Chargers in the AFC West. That's the only competition I feel like. But it's a good debate to have here, and it's just I kind of expected better. It's just the 49ers are starting to fade. They have injuries. The Rams should do better. They're kind of in this weird tier where they don't dominate. They kind of play with their food. They don't have Puka Nacua this week. And then the Seahawks are starting to get more respect from me. It's just I still need to see a lot more from them. And maybe the Cardinals, they put in Jacoby Brissett for the whole year. Everything changes. Or maybe not. That's just me trying to hold on for some kind of hope for the Cardinals to make my pick look better. But yeah, it's a good conversation. It's a good division. It's very competitive. But we still haven't seen Seahawks against the Rams, so that's going to tell us a lot in the coming weeks too, as well.
Yeah, and they'll face each other in a couple weeks here. But I just wanted to get your perspective on what you've seen so far from this division. I thought I had three teams from this division making the playoffs. I had the Seahawks, the 49ers, and the Rams. And so
Looking good,
far
yeah.
I've been, I've been a bit surprised though at what I've seen from the 49ers and the Seahawks. If I'm being completely honest, it was more about their schedule as the reason why I had them in the playoffs. But in terms of what I've seen, the product, I've been surprised by those two teams in terms of the 49ers dealing with the injuries, and then the Seahawks kind of being able to not just, I guess, not having Sam Darnold be a game manager, but actually him being able to be the reason why they're 4-2, because that defense is kind of struggle, especially the back end of that Seahawks defense. So yeah, I've been a bit surprised by some of these teams. And then I think those two losses for the Rams kind of were a bit of a surprise just because of how up and down they've been this season. But yeah, it's a good division, and I started kind of looking around. We talked about it on game week with the compas about how, you mentioned the NFC has been dominant, but at the same time you have 11 teams that are have four wins or above, and then you have more than half the league, almost 20 teams, who have 3 wins or more. So it's parity in the league, but it's good to see that the NFC West has, three of the best records in all the NFL.
Yeah, like put it this way, the Rams, I gave them a lot of crap, or I wasn't putting a lot of stock into their AFC South victories. But if they beat the Jaguars this week, that's a clean sweep of a very competitive division. Like you put away the Titans. I don't care about the Tennessee Titans, but you beat
Yeah.
the week one. You beat the Colts. I want to say week three, and then if you beat the Jaguars, like that's got a kind of little notch on your belt there on the resume to sweep the whole AFC South, which is much better division than I thought. So, but they got to handle business. It's gonna be this is a tough one to actually break down. So I can't wait to get into it.
Yeah, and talking about that, we have a great show for everybody. We'll get into uh the latest news and notes, plus storylines for both teams going into this matchup. And lastly, we'll do our game predictions. But before we get to our game preview, Gilbert, do you have an engagement question for our viewers and listeners?
Yeah, let me know what are the keys to a Rams victory. That is the engagement question of the week. What do the Rams need to do? Is it feed Davante Adams because Puka Nacua probably won't play. He did not practice today, so it's looking like Davante Adams going to be wide receiver one. Maybe just one of these games, go get the W, come back home, run the football well, play sound defense. Maybe it's a game where you want to see the secondary step up. I know Brian Thomas Jr. has not been doing well this second season for him, but he's starting to wake up a little more. Maybe Travis Hunter figures it out, but it's a good challenge regardless for the secondary. So maybe let's see what they could do because again, I got a lot of question marks for the secondary. So if they shut down Brian Thomas Jr. at BTJ, shut down Travis Hunter, shut down Trevor Lawrence, that could be a boosting or a stepping stone for this area to improve for the future.
Yeah, and they're gonna need a lot of those guys to kind of step up. If there's no Puka, you need a Tutu Adwell. You're gonna need Jordan Whittington to step up, and some of those tight ends to have a big game because I don't know if you saw the video that circulated this week from that Baltimore game where Puka just laid into the offense with how much they were struggling there, and so it just tells you where they're at offensively, and even they're starting to see that they have a lot of deficiencies there offensively.
Yeah, no, I actually have not seen the video. I got to check it out because I didn't think Puka Nacua was that type of person to scream at teammates. But good for him. He's earned it. He's become a focal point of that offense. He's become a leader for the offense. I didn't think he was. I thought he was one of these guys that kind of like I think because he's so young in the league, he felt like he's more of a let me watch from the veterans and let me be a little bit of a jokester here. He also kind of, he allowed Davante Adams to be the first receiver in line for the drills. I get it, that's respect. But you're the top dog, man. Go ahead
Yep.
and earn it. So hey, if you want to scream at people, go ahead and do it. And yeah, they've been up and down offensively, so I don't blame him. He's doing all the work. He's putting his body on the line week in, week out. A little too much, and now he got hurt there, and that wasn't even that wasn't even close to being a completion there on that throw from Stafford to Puka in the end zone. That's a different conversation. But hey, you got to let it rip sometimes. You got to take a chance because Puka Nacua tends to get that play, but he's always putting his body on the line for this team.
Yeah, and I thought it was more of him. The reason he got hurt is because he was more. It was more of him preventing the
Yeah,
interception from happening than, and then he just landed pretty bad there. So, um, uh, I was gonna I was gonna say let's get to our news and notes here. Um, I didn't write a lot of stuff down, so I was kind of looking at my phone here to go over some of the stuff that talking about Puka Nakua and what McVay had to say about what their process is. But let me get to the injury report real quick. I'll go quickly and then we'll talk about Puka and what McVay had to say. Once again, did not practice. They had four players here for the Rams. Right tackle Rob Havenstein with an ankle, Puka Nakua with an ankle, outside linebacker Josiah Stewart with an illness, and running back Blake Corum with an ankle. You on a limited basis, you had inside linebacker Omar Spates with an ankle, wide receiver Tutu Atwell with the hamstring, and a full participant was Kobe Parkinson with the concussion. He was on concussion protocol last week. We said that we probably wouldn't see. The NFL has kind of been more of letting these players who get a concussion go about 2 weeks before they're able to come back and play. But let me. I just had it and I lost it, so let me go over what McVay had to say um, Puka Nacua and what how they're gonna handle his injury. So here we go. He said, there's a difference between return to play and return to performance. You want to put him in the position to have successful outcomes. And then he also added some of the that is reflected in is he able to go through practice and really get a good feel to allow him to feel comfortable and confident and what we would be asking if he goes. So after hearing all that, Gilbert, how do you handle, especially when you have a bye week after this? How do you handle Puka Nakua and that ankle injury?
Yeah, you definitely got to think about that bye week. You got to consider it, and you they are what 4-2, right? So
Yep.
they're not in a bad position. That I'm not saying you could afford to lose a game, but you got to prioritize health. And if you get a sense that like maybe he could go like he's 70%, 60%, you don't want to risk an injury like or to re-aggravate the injury. So I think you got to think about the bye week. You got to say, you know what, we want you to be 100%. We don't want you having an injury that could get worse. So if you're not ready to go, you could probably play on it. Maybe do what you got to do before in the locker room. I won't say what goes behind the scenes for football players to get ready, uh, but I'm sure he's capable of playing, and they could probably ask him. It's a conversation you have on a Friday, and say, "All right, can you go? Do you feel like you could maybe re-aggravate the injury? Can it get worse?" Obviously, you talk to team doctors, and if there's any hint of like it could definitely get worse, don't do it. Just wait for the bye week. He's the star of the team. You need him for the long haul. All the volume of touches and targets that he gets, those are needed because he makes his offense go. He makes Matthew Stafford go. So to me, I rather have him sit out for a week or 2 weeks and be fully healthy for coming out the bye.
Yeah, and I'm with you there. I think part of it too is, look, we're just two dudes talking here on a podcast, but at the same time, if you're the team, you got to do what's best for you, right? These regular season games don't matter. You're trying to, you're playing towards the playoffs, right? You're 4-2, as you mentioned. You have to look towards what is important here. And I get it. You have to look out for what's best for the player, and you also have to look out for what's for the team going forward. And it just makes perfect sense for them to just sit him, give him 2 weeks to recover, be fully healthy, and be ready to go coming off the bye week. It just and I get it. Like Puka is one of those guys that wants to play no matter what, but sometimes you got to protect the player from itself. And he's gonna tell you, "Yeah, I'm ready to go. I'll be good to go." But at the same time, it's like, what for? I mean, I know there's a lot of people who are more interested in fantasy and they want to make sure that Puka Nakua is out there. But at the end of the day, if you're the Rams, you got to protect your investment here, and you got to look towards the playoffs and making sure that he's ready to go. And we saw what happened last year. You don't want to have this turn into a bunch of games that he has to miss. So especially since he had that knee, just take it easy and just come back with him after the bye
Yeah.
week.
And then another thing that Fernando's brought up recently is like I know coaches don't like to think this way. I know players don't like to think this way. But when you're playing a game that's at a conference, at a division, it won't hurt you as much if you lose with a Puka Nacua playing against Jacksonville. He comes back out of the bye week. They play the Saints, which they probably won't need Puka for the Saints game. But then you play the 49ers, the Seahawks, and the Buccaneers, I think. These are three big time games where you need Puka Nacua to be healthy to compete. I'm not saying that that the Jaguars are not a good team that where they need to be at full strength with Puka Nacua, but it's an AFC game. It's one that won't hurt you in the tiebreaker. standings at least, but it's all about the health. I probably shouldn't even talk about the other crap. It's all about being healthy, and if he's not close to 100%, don't put him out there.
Yeah, I'm with you. You just got to look out for the player here, and what's more important, I think, for this Rams team, is to go on a playoff run. So I, and like that's another great point too. It's not a conference game. It's you're having to go to London. The last thing you want to do is re-aggravate it in London, and then having to spend a couple more weeks having to rehab that ankle. So it just play it safe, honestly, and then do what's best for the team going forward. In terms of the Jaguars, Gilbert, the name that I saw here that did not practice today was linebacker Devin Lloyd, who's been probably one of those guys that is going to be up for defensive player of the year with what he's done the first quarter of the season. He's been all over the place. He had that interception return against Patrick Mahomes. And he's been great for the Jaguars for a defense that not a lot was expected, but he did not practice with the Cavs. So just wanted to get your thoughts on that one. The other ones, Trayvon Walker did fully participate. The defensive end, the number one pick from a couple years ago, with the wrist. So that was the other name that kind of stuck out here. But just wanted to get your thoughts on Devin Lloyd and missing today with the calf.
Yeah, I'll start with Walker. The number one pick from the 2022 draft. He's not a star. He's not close to the Aiden Hutchinson level, but he's a very consistent edge rusher, and I think they've missed him in the last couple of weeks too. So if he plays, he's going to add a boost to that defense. Again, he's not uh, a big time player, but he does make a difference out there. So that's good. And then Devin Lloyd, kind of similar to Trevon Walker, were drafted in the first round, drafted pretty high, hasn't really got going, but this year it just clicked. The new coaching staff has figured out how to play him. He had the 99-yard pick six on Patrick Mahomes on Monday Night Football not too long ago. He is the reason why this team. I lost track of how many takeaways they had because I stopped paying attention to that Jaguars Seahawks game, but they had 14 before that, and that was a league high. It probably still is a league high. They got 0 takeaways last week. They had a bunch of games where they had at least 3 takeaways per game. It's all him in the middle. He's making a difference. He's all over the place. And shout out to the defensive coordinator there for making it work. They're not a good defense when it comes to racking up sacks and stopping the pass, but they know how to be in the spots to change the game. And sometimes if you're just a good takeaway team, that's how teams win games is takeaways, winning the turnover battle. Like who cares if you're going to let up a big player now and then. And then we'll talk about it too, but they made a trade for a cornerback there to help out that pass defense. Again, it's not their strength, but takeaways make such a difference in games.
Yeah, it was Newsome, and he got torched right off the bat there.
He did.
So, yeah, but
And
yeah,
this defense,
let's
Jay Sand's torching everybody. So yeah.
yeah, that is true. Let's get to our Rams Jaguars storylines here, Gilbert. I don't have a lot here to give you in terms of the Jaguars, but I did find it very interesting just with the fact that Leon Cohen is a disciple of Sean McVay's coaching tree there. And one of the things I saw, I kind of wanted to go and see. Okay, so how has Sean McVay's tree done against him? There, he's 4-7 against his coaching tree. Matt LaFleur is 5-0 against McVay. Was shocking. He's 2-1 against Zach Taylor. He's 1-0 against Brandon Staley, and he's 2-0 against Kevin O'Connell. So I mean that's kind of where he's at against his pupils there, or guys who have been under his coaching. But I thought it was one of the quotes that kind of just stood out this week, Gilbert, about when Leon Cohen was asked about what he learned from being in a coaching staff with Sean McVay. He said that the project that he was responsible for so long was pass drawings. I did all the pass drawings for 3 years while I was in assistant position coach there. That opportunity gave me an access to Sean that not maybe every single coach on the staff had, because when you're responsible to draw the passes, you got to hear it from his mouth in terms of the details, the precision, the yardage, the depth, the why. You're getting an inside look at the why behind every pass play. And I think that's probably what maybe helped me the most of anything that I was able to do there. I was a little finite details that go into just one play and one pass play, Gilbert. And I just thought that the respect that Liam Cohen showed for what he took away from Sean McVay and what he's been able to do for the rest of this coaching tree that's all over the NFL. I thought it spoke a lot about what Sean McVay does with his coaching staff and why they've been so successful. But I guess the storyline here for me with the Jaguars is how successful he's been able to be. You know, when he wasn't one of those candidates that a lot of people thought, oh, Liam Cohen, he's going to be great. He's going to do great right off the bat. He was somebody that was going to resign with the Buccaneers. He ends up going to the Jaguars. They end up taking one of the assistant GMs from the Rams. They put them together with Liam Cohen, and so far it's been a success. They're I think 4-2, I believe, so far this season. So they've been one of the surprise. I know Liam Cohen is up for Coach of the Year. He'll get some votes there, but I just thought being able to learn from Sean McVay went a long way, and I wanted to start there with you with what's been your impression of Liam Cohen and the job he's done with the Jaguars so far.
Yeah, I got to know Liam Cohen in 2022. He was the OC for the Rams in 22, and I think he got kind of a raw deal that season. He That was the second stint with the Rams. The first one he helped, Jared Goff and the wide receivers get situated to go to that Super Bowl in 20 I think it was 2018. Then he goes to the college game. He's the OC at Kentucky. Gets to coach Will Levis. Helped Will Levis become a draft prospect. Comes back to the Rams and becomes the OC there because Kevin O'Connell left. But it wasn't a great year. It was an awful year. I remember that year well. And they didn't really say it, but I think he got fired. He got pushed out, and he was kind of scapegoat there. When how can you build an offense when you know everything was just not going their way, especially injury wise. The offensive line took a beating. There's also a little bit of a Sean McVay potential leaving, so that made an opportunity for Liam Cohen to say, you know what, I'm gonna go elsewhere. What if Sean's not around? Uh, so to see this quick turnaround for him, where he pretty much got pushed out a little bit, I'm not saying that's the total story there, and to be a head coach is like I did not see that coming. He went back to Kentucky right away, came back to the coaching ranks to coach Baker Mayfield in Tampa Bay. And the reason why, which is funny, even some of your worst years, sometimes they lead to this circle where they give you opportunities. Liam Cohen got to coach Baker Mayfield in 2022, this crappy year from hell, and then the Buccaneers OC job opens up because Dave Canales went to go coach the Panthers. And
Right.
what's Todd Bowles do? You and Baker got a connection already. I don't care how you guys perform with the O line. I don't care that the Rams won, I think, 5 games that year. You got a connection with Baker. We want continuity with this. We want him to be quickly adapted to the scheme. Boom, Liam Cohen gets a job. And then Liam Cohen did better, I thought, than Dave Canales. And that's not a knock on Dave Canales, but Baker looked better. He also fixed that running game. That running game was not that good uh, during Canales' year. So he became this hot name. The Jaguars wanted him no matter what. We remember the drama. I know I'm going through the whole
Yep.
timeline here.
Yep.
And then just to right away be 4-2 or 4-1, that says a lot. Again, I keep thinking about his 2022 downfall to now guiding a winning team as a head coach. It just says that you just never know when opportunity is going to knock. I think it's a cool story. And then going even with James Gladstone, the GM for the Jaguars, it's like I think what he's doing right now is very underrated. He's making some savvy moves. Where like it's kind of what Les Snead did in 23, where he had to pay the tab on the salary cap, but still fielded a competitive roster. Like, look at all the moves the Jaguars have done. They've been shedding salaries and contracts and thinking about the future, and they're still competitive. Like, they weren't really big spenders on the market. They traded, or I mean, they let go of Christian Kirk. They cut a bunch of guys out. You know, they They recently traded Tyson Campbell, and people said, "Oh, that's like an even trade swap for cornerbacks." It's like, no, one guy had a massive contract, the other one's going to be a free agent at the end of the year. You know why? Because the Jaguars want a guy who's going to be on an expiring deal because they're thinking about the future. And how do you
Yep.
balance thinking about the future and be competitive? I think the best GMs know how to do it. So James Gladstone getting that learning under less need, it's paying off right now. He's making so many savvy moves, and it's not hindering Liam Cohen's roster. It's not hindering Trevor Lawrence, and he also went for it too on that trade for Travis Hunter. That one hasn't produced results just yet, but he did fix the salary cap, and I think that's gone a long way for them too.
Yeah, and I remember during the draft process, or during even the draft, I kept seeing, oh, that's a Rams pick that the Jaguars took, and it was because of James Gladstone. I mean, and you're gonna see a lot of similarities going forward with how these two teams look, because they're gonna be built in the same way, and that's part of it. It's not just the coaching, it's going to be also with how they do, how their front office is run because of it. And so I think you have to kind of keep an eye on here with the Jaguars going forward if you're a Rams fan, just because there's a lot of DNA in what they're going to do
Yeah.
going forward. And so that's why I wanted to bring that up too. I wanted to start up with Leon Cohen, and I want to share this comment here from Brian Smith, who says Coin can steal the playbook, but it does no good if you can't use it. Just like Shane Waldron, maybe it can be duplicated, and that's a good point. But with Shane Waldron, every stop. I mean, there's a video out there now where you know he's every stop that he's been there, the number one receiver has taken a step back. It doesn't matter whether he's the OC, if he's a quarterbacks coach, it doesn't matter. I think with Liam Cohen, as you mentioned, taking that having that hard year in 2022, I think humbled him, and it made him a better coach going forward. And I thought that was a great perspective from you. I forgot about the fact that he was on that coaching staff in 2022.
Yeah, and to touch more on his Jaguars job, he is doing a good job. And going off of what you said with Shane Waldron, I forget what role does he have with the Jaguars. I forget. He might be pass
I
game
think he's the
coordinator,
quarterbacks coach, but I'll check.
quarterback
Go
coach.
ahead and I'll
But yeah,
go
Brian
ahead.
Thomas Jr. is going through the curse right now because he's not
Yep.
doing well. And that kind of brings me to my point. It's like I was doing these grades on the first year head coaches for the first quarter of the season, kind of like a report card. And some people gave me crap. It's like, why don't you just give Leon Cohen the A? What's up with this B plus crap? I'm like, I can't do that because Trevor Lawrence in the passing game haven't really gone off. Like you still haven't unlocked Travis Hunter. Brian Thomas Jr. has been pretty absent this year. Lawrence is still an inconsistent quarterback, and he had a great Monday night game, but even that game was riddled with mistakes and chaos, kind of similar to Caleb Williams. That's actually a pretty good comparison. Two guys were really hyped up, very inconsistent. But until I see Liam Cohen unlock Trevor Lawrence at the way he did for Baker Mayfield, I get Baker Mayfield was unlocked technically by Dave Canales, uh, but he made Baker better. He proved that Baker's not a 1 year wonder. He helped Baker prove he's not a system quarterback. He checked off a lot of boxes, and that's why he got the head coaching job. But it's still very early in Jacksonville. But that passing game is not that good right now. So maybe a little bit to Brian's credit here, but I won't fully go there because again, Cohen did a terrific job as a first year play caller in Tampa Bay last year. It's just going to take him time in Jacksonville. They're not there, and we've seen also, by the way, Trevor and Liam going at it on the sideline. I think that
Yep.
Bengals game, they were like shouting at each other. They're not clicking just yet, but I think winning cures everything, and that's more on the defense, creating the takeaways again. But they're still not a finished product though.
Yeah, and they've had some up and down, to their season already. I mean, you lose that Bengals game, they should have won that game, but then they pull out, that game against the Chiefs, and I think that's when people kind of started giving them respect. And then you follow it up with the terrible game against the Seahawks. So I think that's why people are kind of have some mixed results on this team. And, it's the Jaguars, until you actually build something where it's sustainable for a couple years, and it's not like, hey, we do good 1 year and then we go back to being the Jaguars again. I think that's why it's hard for people to give them that respect. But so far they're off to a good start with that combination of uh, James Gladstone and Leon Cohen. But yeah, I just thought like, and you're gonna see this. I wonder if they'll bring it up in the broadcast, and how similar these two teams are gonna be going forward, and how like I said, the DNA between these two teams is gonna be, and whether or not they talk about that. But switching over to the Rams, Gilbert, I thought, I kind of wanted to keep it a little lighter this week, and instead of us like just talking about the deficiencies. I thought it was a really good idea that the Rams decided to stay in Baltimore, and I thought it was really cool to see that Camden Yards turned into a football field. And I thought, like, one of the things I retweeted today was Matthew Stafford, throwing a football off the mound there. I thought that was a really cool picture. But just in terms of, you know, I guess for me, and what I wanted to ask you is, how important is a trip like this for chemistry and building and being able to bond? Do you like the fact that they stayed in Baltimore, or would you have liked for them um to go to London right off the bat after the Baltimore game?
No, I think Baltimore was a right call. Like regardless, like if you go to London, that's a road game, and you don't want it to feel like a road game for too long. You kind of just get like annoyed, you're frustrated. I want to go home already. Maybe with the Baltimore thing, kind of feels like a nice chill vacation. You don't want it to feel like a road work trip. It's like because for 2 days that's fine, but anything longer just feels like it's too long. So maybe something like you build chemistry and camaraderie in Baltimore. I think to me that's fine. Getting to play at a baseball field and it's a little unique. It creates a little bit of a fun atmosphere. Uh, but it's a right call. You don't want to go back all the way home to LA. It sucks being away from your family that long. But that's a brutal trip for everybody involved. I think Albert Breer had the story about the Vikings 2 week trip in overseas, Ireland to England, and how much they had to pack and move, and it just sounds like a headache. So just even to move the team to Baltimore for a week is a hassle. But you kind of got to pick and choose your poison here. So I think for them, they chose the right one. You don't want to go back home to LA and having to go to London. You don't want to be in London too long. So this one, it just feels about right. You kind of make it like a vacation, and everybody has a good time with your colleagues there. So it's not easy at the end, regardless of what you choose. But I think this one was the right one, and we'll see if it pays off. But they don't have to get acclimated to too much of a time difference. The flight's not that long anymore. You're still in America, so it's a lot of pros here.
Yeah, and I just think for me, I think the other thing too is that you get to bond with your teammates. When you're at home, everybody comes from their own house, and then you meet up at your training facility here. You can turn it into something fun where you can have some activities with your teammates, where it can turn into something where, hey, we've had kind of a roller coaster of a season so far where, we've won four and we've lost two, but it's a chance to kind of, grow as a team and kind of see where you're at, with your chemistry. And so I just feel like it can really help a team, and bond together, and I know we see this in like those football movies, like Remember the Time and all that, where these teams take a trip, and they get to get away from, the family, and be with your teammates. And so I just thought that was a very important thing to do. And I like the fact, like you mentioned, that they were able to stay in Baltimore, and we'll see if it pays off. And maybe it's something that we don't even talk about the rest of the season, but it could be something that they point back to, like, hey, that week in between the London trip, it really brought us together and it made us go on a run. So I just thought it was important to bring up.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I wonder if they're gonna leave early or not at all. But regardless, they made the right call.
Yeah, I'm with you. Yeah, we'll see. What did it say? Oops. Delvers thought it was Boston, senioritis. He said, oops,
Ah,
Baltimore, not Boston. I got senioritis, puros cuernos. So yeah. That's okay. We sometimes, yeah. I mean, either one would have been nice, honestly. But that was cool too of the Orioles to let them use the ballpark there as well. All right, Gilbert. Keys to a Rams win versus the Jaguars. Let's start on defense. What do you got? What are the keys to a win versus the Jaguars?
Yeah, I've highlighted this before, but I just got to see a good game from the secondary. Keep continue giving misery to Brian Thomas Jr., who's struggling there. Don't let Travis Hunter, get going. If he does his thing as a cornerback, so be it. But don't let him be a two-way threat here as a wide receiver. And I think that Monday night game, he did have like a big time catch. I remember Travis Hunter did. So it's gonna be a handful for the secondary, but it's not like a group that's really in a rhythm right now. So take advantage of that. Don't let them establish anything. And I'm saying this more because I want to see if the secondary could be any better. Can it be coached up better? Can Chris Shula do something here to limit the damage? Because like I mentioned, uh, when they come out of the bye week, I shouldn't discredit the Saints, but after the Saints game, they play the 49ers, Seahawks, and Buccaneers, and all these three teams have wide receivers, good passing attacks. So maybe get the ball rolling here with the secondary. Make sure you have a good game. Like I mentioned, Trevor Lawrence has been inconsistent. Do not let him get going. We saw what happened in the Monday night game when he builds a rhythm.
Yeah, and I think you kind of take a little bit of the playbook that the Seahawks used last week, where they use some simulated pressure. The Seahawks don't have a good secondary right now because most of them are banged up, and so it's kind of similar to what the Rams present here, and be able to use that pressure with your cheetah package, your rhino package. I saw. I love every time Gilbert, especially when the Rams are on defense. You see Jared Verse in the middle where he's like the middle linebacker. He's about to come rushing straight. I'm like, man, I'd be scared watching that guy just coming full speed right down the middle there, like just bulldozing the interior of that offensive line, whoever it is. And you saw it twice. Once he got caught for offsides there because he went way too fast before the ball got snapped there. But yeah, I mean, continue to put pressure, with your packages there. And one of the things too, I do wonder if the Jaguars use some of that Shanahan playbook and do some short passing here just to try to mitigate, some of the weaknesses for the Rams, as we saw. But man, if Landman can continue to pile up the tackles here, I think it's a successful day for them in London.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned Jared Verse. I thought he's been having kind of a so-so season, and we expected kind of a dominant year two after that epic rookie year, and then he kind of got taken to school by Trent Williams on that Thursday night game. He wasn't really effective in that game, and then at that Baltimore game, he was all over the place. I think getting that stop on Derrick Henry on fourth down set the tone for the game. To only to There wasn't a shutout, but to only allow 3 points, and then have enough pride for 4 quarters to say you're not scoring at all. And there's no touchdowns here. I think Jared Verse set the tone there. So I would love for him to pick that up, carry that momentum, and just destroy a game. Be a game record that did. I think he's capable of doing it. It hasn't been there this year too often. I think eventually he's going to join that class of Miles Garrett, T.J. Watt, where guys could single handedly change games like that. And Max Crosby is doing it for the Raiders. He doesn't have a lot of help, uh, but he hasn't gotten there yet. So I'm hoping that he does that this week.
Yeah, and he hasn't had that game yet. You're right. I mean, it's been either Byron Young, like he's had a couple where he's kind of taken over, and then Nate Landman against the
Yep.
Texans, and then this past week against the Ravens. So we need the Rams need a game from Jared Verse. We haven't had one of those yet. And then offensively, Gilbert, where do you want to start? I mean, I'm sure there's a lot there to cover, but
Uh, yeah. No, Puka Nacua really changes a lot. I really wonder what the game plan is going to be. Is it just going to be Matthew Stafford going to old habits and feeding the best player, which is Davante Adams at this point, alpha default? If that's the case, can Davante, you know, do that and carry the load. I thought in that 49ers game he was pretty good once they settled on, okay, the 49ers are going to do everything they can to stop Puka Nacua. What are the matchups saying? Feed Davante. He was definitely taking advantage of the beneficial matchup. So I think he could definitely be the guy, but he won't have the beneficial matchups. Can you do that? That's gonna be tough because you're gonna be the number one guy. And I'm talking like Davante hasn't done this for his whole career, but he's older now. He's in a different system. He's in a different team. So I want to see that. And maybe that's the best move. Feed Devontae, let him set the tone. Get more Jordan Whittington involved. Our friend Tutu Atwell, get him involved in London. That'd be great to see. So they don't have to change too much. That's the beauty of having a guy who's capable of being a number one wide receiver, where one gets hurt, another one comes in. So
Yep.
I think it's the same game plan. Let Devontae set the tone. When defense is key on him, now feed the other guys, open it up. And I think Stafford, who didn't have a good game last week in Baltimore, it wasn't needed. But when Puka went out, you could tell he was like, okay, what do I do now? Hopefully, with this game, there's none of that. We're like, okay, what do I do here without Puka? And maybe there's an actual game plan to set the rhythm.
Yeah, I'm gonna kind of go a different way here, and I think this needs to be a Matthew Stafford game. He needs to be he needs to take over this game, be a bit more balanced, um, and get spread the ball around. You got guys like Jordan Whittington. You said Tutu Adwell. Matthew Stafford just needs to take over here. He wasn't as good against Baltimore. I feel like if they're gonna win this game, Matthew Stafford has to have a big game. Whenever they've had big games offensively, it's him. He's either like he threw, what was it, 3 touchdowns against the 49ers. And we saw Sam Darnold pick apart the Jacksonville Jaguars last week. Matthew Stafford, is way better than Sam Darnold, and so do the same thing, and like you mentioned, get a lot of your guys involved with no Puka Nakua. You won't be able to key on one guy here, so make sure you balance things out and you spread the ball. So I'm gonna go with Matthew Stafford. I think if he's a key on offense for them this week.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I know he's a little older now. He's not going to be elite Stafford every single week, but this week you need him to do that. So I think that's a good call by you.
Yeah. Um, Let me get to these comments before we get to our betting line here, and then we'll finish off the show here. Delver said, and this is what he was talking about with Boston. He said, "Started to think that this might be a Jeff Fisher season. 9 and was it 9-8 or 8 and
9 and 7,
9,
yeah.
right?
Or 7 or 7 or 9 bullshit. Yeah.
Yeah, 7 and 9 bullshit. Uh, Still got a lot to do, but remember how spoils we become under McVay. Hope the Rams sign the wall behind the Boston bullpen go Rams. So that's what he thought. That's what he
Baltimore.
was talking
Yeah.
about, but it's actually the Baltimore Orioles. So that'll be cool. Camden Yards is also a really nice football field there. Brian Smith wants to know: are there any trades incoming? Gilbert, have
I
you heard
keep saying it.
anything?
Go get Legarius Need. Like the Titans are in
Yeah,
disarray. They fired their coach. And I saw that Legarius Need doesn't have any guaranteed money past this year. So if he sucks this year, cut ties next year. That's still my guy right there. But uh, there could be other options. It's just we saw even the Tyson Campbell Greg Newsom swap. They didn't really do anything for either side. It's been 1 week, but it's like okay,
yeah,
like they still like the thing about that guys who are that quality of cornerbacks, they're not the best, but they're good. And it still required the team swapping cornerbacks. You kind of still have the same problem. They just that one fit better for my scheme. That contract fit better from my long term plans. It's still difficult. It's so difficult to get a cornerback. So go get a desperate team who's ready to have a fire sale.
yeah. And let Darius need, like, as long as you have a good system for him, he'll be good. I mean, he might not be worth the money, but you're
Yeah,
desperate right now, so
yeah.
it
You
might
cut
be
them
one of
next
those
year.
things. It might be one of those things where the Titans are trying to shed salary, and you're able to just give them a lower tier draft pick instead of giving a high end pick.
Hmm.
So the one thing that Ladarius is not gonna cost you is one of those first round picks. So don't worry about that.
forefront
We
pick.
have Angel Salcedo says, "What up, compas?" So it's good to have our friend there, Angel, on here. And then last one here from Alexander H. He says, "Agree. Maybe a blessing in disguise, like when Cup got injured and Safford found Puka." So maybe like we
Yeah,
get a big game from Jordan Whittington in this
yeah.
game, and
He needs a
that
touchdown.
yep, we need it. We need to see a touchdown from Jordan Whittington. That's going to be my thing. That's what I'm going to be looking forward to in this matchup, Gilbert. All right, let's get to the betting line here, Gilbert. The Rams are 3-point favorites. The over under is 45 and a half. What's the right side of this line, Gilbert? Let me just give you one more info. The Rams are 4-2 this season against the spread. The two losses were the Eagles one, where they got the field goal block, which they should have covered there. And then the other one was the loss to the 49ers at home on Thursday Night Football, where they were, what, like an 8-point favorite, 9-point favorite, whatever it was. They did not cover that game because they lost. So, what's the right side of this line, Gilbert?
Yeah, it's this is one that's a little concerning. The 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 Jaguars essentially have a home game. They know how to play in London, so that's a little tricky too. But um, I'm gonna go off of what the Rams have done against the AFC South. Again, the NFC is better, so maybe the Rams are a level above the Jaguars. We saw the Seahawks pretty much. It wasn't a total beatdown on the scoreboard, but that was a one-sided game. It wasn't even close. Like the Jaguars couldn't do anything. So I will take the Rams here. I wouldn't worry about them being, road favorites. London is still London. The Jaguars won't be at home, so don't be too worried about that. And then I wouldn't be surprised if it goes over. Again, the Jaguars can't really defend the pass, and the Rams secondary is not that great, so it could maybe be a get right game for BTJ. And I just said hopefully it's not, but I would not be shocked if it is.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens in terms of that. But I like the Rams here with that the line, and I'm with you. I like the over here, 45 and a half. I think it's going to be a high scoring game here with both teams.
Uh,
Um, the thing you have to worry you kind of worries me is the takeaways. If the Jaguars are able
yeah,
to get some takeaways, then that means that you won't get as many scoring opportunities from the Rams, but we'll see. But all right, Gilbert, Rams, Jaguars, what is your prediction for this matchup in London?
yeah. By the way, Delbert, thank you for the update. I have not been able to watch baseball. This is the one time a year I care about baseball, but there's just been football every other day, so it's been hard. So,
I'm
yeah,
glad the way the schedule worked out because I was like, okay, as long as it's not on Wednesday when we have two shows to record,
yeah,
I'm like,
that's
I'm
true.
okay with the Dodgers not playing. So the schedule finally worked out this week.
Yeah, but I feel like I think I watched maybe the last inning last night after we were done recording. I couldn't watch anything Monday because it was Monday Night Football. I guess I could watch a game Friday. Yeah, Friday would be fine. Not
The
tomorrow.
first game is at 3, Fridays at 5, and then I think I
Okay.
saw Saturdays at 2 if it goes
Yeah,
that
because
long.
tomorrow's Thursday Night Football. I got to work. But yeah. Anyways, back to the point here. Rams
Yep.
versus Jaguars game prediction. I will go with the Rams. I don't feel confident, but I saw the Rams beat the Colts. I saw the Rams beat the Texans. Go get the clean sweep here for the AFC South. They already beat the Titans. Everybody beats the Titans besides the Cardinals. There you go, NFC West. But yeah, sweep them and go for the win there. Like Victor said, be aware of the takeaways, play clean football. I can see high scoring, so I will go. I say the Rams cover 27-23. It gets the over here, so give me the Rams to win 27-23 over the Jaguars.
Before I give you my prediction, I just want to remind people that, come have breakfast with us. Where we'll do the post game show right around 9:30 or so. That's the plan. We'll see how it goes. If it goes past that, then we'll keep you guys updated. So
Yeah.
that's the plan for the post game show. Hopefully, it ends right around 9:30, so that way we can hop on and do the post game show right away. And so yeah, join us for that. But otherwise, we'll keep you guys updated. I'll make sure that I change the times once I get the go ahead from Gilbert as to what we can do, depending on the time that he has.
Yeah, maybe more like
Um,
9:45, but yeah.
yeah, we'll see. But yes, I'm with you. I'm gonna go with the Rams here. they've been really good against the AFC South, so what I can see them continuing to do it. But my only hesitation, like I said, I think it's going to be a close game, Gilbert. Is just what happens if they start turning the ball over? What happens if they, instead of one half sleepwalking, what up if they sleepwalk through the whole game? That's my concern there. But I just feel like Sean McVay's going to have this guys ready to go, and I just think it's gonna they'll come out victorious going into the bye week, which they need.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. We are definitely in agreement here. And yeah, if you go into the bye week at 5-2, for all their issues, all the things we've been harping on, that's a pretty good record going into the bye week. So if they get that done, if they go 4-3, it's like, oh yeah, this team has a lot of issues. So I think this victory could definitely uh kind of make or break how you feel going to the bye week.
Yeah. Scoring change now. It's 8-2.
Okay.
The Toronto just scored again, and then Happy Gilmore says, "Let's go Rams." Good to hear from this. He's like changed the picture already.
Yeah. Yeah.
We'll see. All right, that is all we have for you here on House of Horns. Thank you for joining us today. As I said, check out our post game show. Stay tuned to get updates. Like I said, our plan is to go right after the game or so, right around between 9:30 and 10 before the 10 a.m. games start. So we'll try to get the post game show out of the way in the morning. If not, just stay tuned for when we can do it. But outside of that, yeah, I mean, this is gonna be our first 6:30 game where we're having to check out the Rams. I'm actually a little excited to be able to wake up that early and watch some Rams football that early in the morning, and then that way I can hopefully they win, so that way I can the rest of my day is all set, Gilbert.
Yeah, should be an early one. I usually have to do baby duty, so it's gonna be hard for me to watch this game. I don't like this time, but it's okay. I'll survive. I'll be ready by the fourth quarter. Who knows? Whenever this my son keeps the or lets me watch TV, but we'll find out.
Yeah.
But yeah, enjoy the London game. Maybe somebody's going to the London game from the comments. Let us know. That'd be great. Enjoy that game. Enjoy the early start. Enjoy the breakfast. And yeah, try to join us after the game here on House of Horns. And yeah, definitely make our day for a W. Happy Gilmore is saying. We'll see what they do. Handle business though. Go into 5-2 into the bye week will be a big W. But it's time to get going. Ya nos vamos, pues. Vámonos.